Hey guys, Chris here with the Good Old Gamer. So the votes are in. The community has spoken, and they have validated the price hikes of the GPU market. So this all comes on the back of Nvidia's Q2 earnings report, and we're going to go into that here today over the details. But ultimately, the point that I am taking away from all of this is we have lost and they have won. Now, who are they? You could say it's Nvidia, but I would actually argue that the people that are really in control of all of this is you guys. It's the community. It's the customer base. They have spoken and they've said that, yeah, these prices are okay. So we're going to go over all that data here today and what this means for us as more budget conscious gamers, what we can do to go ahead and stay away from all this craziness that's going to continue to progress as time goes on and come up with alternate solutions. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about here today. But before we get into that, a quick word about today's video sponsor, Privacy.com. Today's video is sponsored by Privacy.com. In a world dominated by e-commerce, your privacy has never been more at risk. Major companies fall prey to data breaches all the time, and unfortunately, your private information is at risk. This is where Privacy.com comes into play. As a service, they offer virtual credit cards, much like virtual PCs, to keep your private information safe. All you have to do is link your bank information, and a virtual credit card will be presented to you with all the relevant information. To keep your information safe, you don't even have to enter your real name nor your real billing address. Simply add the information for your virtual card and you're good to go. This is even great for subscriptions where you don't want to be double or overbilled. You can limit them to just a few dollars per month, whatever your subscription fee is, and that's the maximum amount that you could be charged. If you believe one of your cards have been compromised, you can easily cancel it and create a new card at any time. And you don't have to worry, as refunds will be deposited directly back to their source even if the card is closed. So you can do this as frequently as you want to keep yourself protected. Privacy.com offers all the great benefits of virtualization now for your own personal shopping security. And right now, for a limited time, if you want to get started, they will give you $5 towards your first purchase by clicking the link in the description below. Now on to the video. So in this video right here, I went over what analysts were predicting for Nvidia's Q2 earnings, and it didn't seem that great for the data center, and that seems to be mostly what they were focused on. But us as gamers, that doesn't really matter all that much to us. So this right here, this is the quarterly trend that we were taking a look at. And as you can see, right around here, we have a major drop-off in the gaming sector. And this is right around the time that the RTX lineup came out. So for me, this was a referendum, not just on the mining boom and the mining prices, but also on RTX. Considering the massive decrease in revenues here, it seemed like people were speaking with their wallets, which is important. And of course, I do talk more about the data center in that video. I'm not going to touch on that too much in this one, as for me personally, I don't care. Okay, so this is adding in the Q2 FY20. That's the report that just came out. We can see that revenues are up pretty significantly to $1.3 billion in the gaming segment. That's a pretty large jump. So what this says to me is that people are getting bored. People are obviously buying graphics cards. They're tired of waiting for things, and they said, screw it, we're going to start spending money. Now, if you look at Q2 right here versus Q2 right here, that's not really a fair analysis. So obviously it's down a lot because this was right in the middle of the mining boom. Now, if we go back to the previous slide, take a look at Q2, basically in 2017. Ignore the FY, it stands for fiscal year. But anyways, back then, this was about 9 months after Pascal launched, so a pretty similar sort of time frame. And we can see that that was $1.186 billion. So if you look at 1.18 versus 3.13, this is pretty good. This is a pretty good gain over normal regular revenues for Nvidia. And that's the really important part here, is essentially they're selling as well as they were back in Pascal once again. And that is pretty crazy when you think about it. So going back over here to Market Watch after the analysis came in, Nvidia says business is back to normal after a year of strife. The question now, amid continued concerns about the data center, is what is the new normal? So see, they're really only concerned about the data center because for them, they think that's the golden goose for Nvidia. Meanwhile, Nvidia is a company that is entirely based off of gaming GPUs and making gaming graphics cards. That's what the company started on, and that's what the company continues to thrive on. It's a gaming company, and the data center is a potential growth area. However, this should not be the main concern of the company, but it is for investors. And for me, I think that's going to be a real issue somewhere down the road if things continue going this way. But let's continue checking out this article. After a double whammy of crypto mining influenced decline in its core gaming business and slowdown in the previously surging data center over the past year, Nvidia Corp says business is back to normal. And like I just showed you, the data does support that theory. Okay, with revenue growth of 17% sequentially to $2.58 billion, thanks to a 24% growth in gaming. That's huge, 24% quarter over quarter. Now, Granted, year over year is typically better because certain times of the year are busier, but even still, that is a major uptick. And like I said, to me, that says that gamers are saying, okay, we're going to buy it. I can't wait anymore. Here's my money. And then 3% for data center. So data center did go up a little bit, but it's still way down from the trend where they were. Essentially, our business has normalized. And this is from NVIDIA's CFO, Colette Kress. And that's the real takeaway here. I mean, there's more data here. I'll put a link to this article in the description below. You can read through it all yourself. But the big thing is NVIDIA saying business is back on track. The days of making umpteen billions of dollars per quarter, they're back. We're back to the Pascal days and no more fluctuations and randomness. Now, I wanted to test this theory out and see what's going on, so I decided to check out the Steam hardware survey. I know a lot of you guys don't really trust it, but at the same time, this is the best indicator to kind of gauge where things are at and what people are buying. If you have better options, please put them in the description below. I'd be more than happy to check them out. But when it comes to a massive hardware survey, Steam is probably the best way to go. So anyways, taking a quick look, we can see that nothing's really changed up here. I mean, it's pretty much all Nvidia. I did notice that the RX 580, however, did surge up pretty good. I mean, if you take a look, it's definitely selling a lot better here in the past couple of months. And that's pretty interesting. So AMD is starting to make some headway there into the top of the chart. But it's when I saw this right here that I was like, all right, yeah, so Nvidia is completely correct. If we take a look at the surging influx of RTX 2070s, these aren't 2070 Supers, by the way. Q2 does not have 2070 Super numbers in there. It's all the regular RTX cards. And we can see that this is by far and away the best-selling RTX card. And this was pegged by reviewers as probably the worst buy of the initial launch of the RTX cards. Just to put that in perspective, over here on TechSpot, so Steve Walton's review of the RTX 2070 versus the GTX 1080, which actually cost less if you went MSRP at the time, because this came out at, $599 with the Founders Edition price, and then $499 MSRP. So it was actually $100 more than the GTX 1080, and came in at only 7% faster. So overall, basically, GTX 1080 level performance. Meanwhile, on the Steam hardware survey, this card is by far and away the best seller and is almost at the same market share as the RX 580. That is crazy. So that really does back up what Nvidia is talking about. And then the RTX 2060 following right behind that. This makes sense. This card actually brought some value to the market, so I can understand why those were selling. But the 2070, it was a joke when it launched, and it's still a joke, and that's why it was replaced. The 2060 actually wasn't replaced. It's still there. It's still $349. Even the RTX 2080 is selling pretty strong at 0.75% of the market. And you can see that that's climbing pretty good. Obviously, it seems to have stagnated in the past month, but that's probably due to Super coming out. All right, so the only upside that I see here is the fact that the Nvidia GeForce RTX 2080 Ti coming in at 0.41%. People are not spending $1,000 plus on graphics cards, no matter how much we like to think that might be the case. If we can take a look at the trend here, it did go up a little bit, but it's actually regressed in the past month. So compared to the other RTX cards that are actually increasing or staying the same, this one does not have a super replacement. So there's no reason for anybody to wait if you were going to buy one. So that is the only shining light that I can see, is that people are saying no to $1,000 plus graphics cards, but they're saying yes to graphics cards that bring absolutely no value to the price point. So that's the major downside here. All right, so this is a quote from yesterday's earnings call from Jensen. The Super is off to a great start. Goodness, Super is off to a super start. Coming on over here to Newegg, we can see that the 2070 Super, none of them are at their MSRP price, which does confirm that they are obviously selling well if none of them are at that price. And there's only one card even listed at $499, and then if you add in the $5 shipping, it's actually above MSRP by the shipping. But there are no other cards listed here on Newegg at $499. Second closest one is this one at $519 plus shipping. And then you have the blower style, probably should be the cheapest version. This one's coming in at $529 plus the $5 shipping. So it's $535 for blower style on the 2070 Super. So yeah, obviously people are spending this kind of money. The crazy part is that you now have the RX 5700 XTs out there. These are all in stock except for the brand new AIB models that people were waiting on. But there are still AIB models in stock. You can go ahead and get the ASRock one for only $409, delivering basically the same performance as the 2070 Super. A little bit slower, but a hell of a lot cheaper. Or the Gigabyte one here at $419 plus free shipping. They're not even charging for shipping yet. And yeah, these are still in stock. So that tells me right there that Nvidia is doing very, very well. But for AMD, it also validates the $399 and $429 price points, because these are a killer value next to their Nvidia counterparts. And if those prices are validated for Nvidia, these are obviously good enough for AMD. And unfortunately for us as consumers, we have been outvoted by the majority. All right, so after looking at all that data, we can come to a few conclusions. First off, people are obviously buying graphics cards again. The whole crypto boom thing went up, it went down, and like I said, the fact that the Q1 or Q4 earnings and the Q1 earnings were so far down, I thought that that was going to be a referendum from us, the community, on Nvidia raising these prices. As you can see with the Q2 earnings coming in, much higher than they were back in 2017, ignoring the crypto era, prices don't really matter that much. Even the fact that performance isn't much better than what we had last generation at similar price points. People basically just want to buy new product. That's what it comes down to. That's what the customer base is telling these companies. And it's not just Nvidia. This information is basically being spread to everybody. AMD, Intel, ARM if they get into the GPU market. Basically, this says that as long as you come out with products at a regular basis, whether they're good or not, whether they're worth it or not, it doesn't matter. People will buy them. So to me, this is a really, really bad sign for PC gaming as a whole. And honestly, it really kind of makes me sick. Everything that I've tried to do on this channel was educate the community into making better decisions. Don't spend money unless you're getting proper value for that, because that helps out everybody. I mean, keeps graphics card prices in certain tiers, means you get certain performance gains. But like I said, unfortunately, that's not the case. So we have to think smarter. We have to move past this. Basically, we have to look at other alternate options that make sense. And that's something that I'm starting to do. I'm going to start a new video series basically showing what you can do with very budget-friendly hardware, especially if you're not looking at playing the biggest AAA games all the time. That's something that I did in this video right here. I basically went over the fact that AAA games aren't really worth it. There's a couple of them every year that are probably good that you want to play, but overall, the majority of games, at least for me as an older gamer, I typically stick with older, more retro games, pretty much pre-2010 all the time, and going as far back as the 1980s. And you don't really need a whole lot for that. So I'm going to take a look at basically how cheap GPUs that don't even require external power connectors, how they compare to like $500 and $800 graphics cards of the past. So you can pretty much tell that these graphics cards that we have today in the entry level, the basic entry level, and even maybe look into APUs and see how they compare to graphics cards just a few generations ago, all the way on back to the early 2000s. So this way, if you don't want to be a part of this, if you're like, you know what, I'm checking out, I'm not investing all this money into graphics cards, I don't care anymore, it's just not worth it to play a couple of games a year, you can go ahead and pick something up for maybe 50, 70 bucks, and then you can play like 99% of the games that you want to play anyway. So that's the solution that I'm going to take. Now, obviously, there's probably other options out there. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments section. But for me, that's the way to go. Just the market has spoken. I'm not on board with the direction the market's going, so I'm going to step away from the market and I'm going to go do my own thing. And that's really the only option that I see. But once again, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button, please subscribe, please share with friends. That really does help me out. And a special thank you to privacy.com. It's a really great service out there protecting your valuable information with your day-to-day online shopping. It's a free service to sign up for, and they'll give you $5 to go ahead and try them out. So I definitely recommend clicking that link in the description below. And that's all I have for today, and I will catch you guys in the next video.